Greetings to my Laredo College Palomino students. This is Coach Flores going over a subtopic that is very important in our chapter 2, and we're going to be talking about suicide. Okay, and the reason that this is very important is because this is something that I hope that some people can actually use this video as a refresher, as a recall, and to look back at any time they encounter a person that wants to commit suicide, or they themselves have suicide thoughts, and they're passing through this particular event in life, which can potentially be traumatic for people around them. Okay, now I have my chapter 2 PowerPoint presentation up here, so I'll be looking at it and referring to it. Okay, now I've been an educator for the past several years here in Texas. I've taught public school and I've taught at the university level. So I have students in early college, and I've had students in high school and traditional high school for that matter. And I'll tell you firsthand that it is very difficult to for a community to deal with suicide whenever it occurs. Now, telling you firsthand experience, suicide is something that we do not want to happen. People need to understand that you are someone's son, someone's daughter, someone's neighbor, someone's friend. You are a member of your high school, of your college, of our city. You are someone important in this life. And one of the things that chapter 2 talks about is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in which, at the very top of the pyramid, self-actualization and fulfillment. Everybody here has a capability to become successful in life. You have a purpose in life, whether your career is firsthand dealing with, humanitarian purposes, such as, social worker or medical field or police, and you can really make an impact in people's life, and definitely have potential to help everybody out and be somebody. So everybody has potential, everybody. And so one of the sad things about suicide, one of the many sad things about suicide for that matter, is that when a student commits suicide or a person commits suicide, they didn't reach their potential. Okay, more likely they pretty much did not reach it, because there are some people who are elderly of age and they commit suicide, and they might have been established and they commit suicide for other reasons. But right now, towards the students, we're trying to get a message that life is beautiful, life is great, and one of the things chapter 2 talks about is being able to deal with your problems through a psychological basis. Yes, life does have a lot of ups and downs, and it's very, very stressful. And some people can deal with their stress. If you have a bad day, you shake yourself off, and then you bounce back the next day. There are some people that they need that social network. Remember that social network we talked about in class, is that you need to talk to your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandfather, your professor, your school administrators, your counselors, even your doctors. You have to find someone to talk to. Find someone for them to listen to, for that they can know what you're going through, and we all need that helping hand. Okay, and please make sure that you know who your friends are, so that your friends can possibly save your life, which is very important. Now, being that friend, observations that we have to make. Okay, suicide, giving up on life. Anybody who expresses a desire to kill themselves or has made an attempt to do so is a risk for suicide. Okay, now it's one thing to attempt to commit suicide, and there are some people who have done several attempts, and ultimately we want to prevent them from attempting and keeping them alive, obviously. and we don't want them to successfully commit suicide, in which the cessation of life, the ceasing of life. Okay, common signs that a person is contemplating suicide includes recent loss, inability to let go of grief. Many of you are close to your friends, you're close to your parents, you're close to a relative, and there's some people that might just want to go with them. it might it may seem normal for a couple to commit suicide after one perishes. That might seem, not that it's a normal act, but it might seem, reasonable, understandable, or more common if that occurs. But usually, if a close parent dies, and we're trying to prevent kids or students or adults to not want to take their lives because they want to go with their parents or their brother and sister, because of the because they cannot cope with their life. So we're trying to make people um, cope with life and life after the passing of a person who is they're very, very close to. And in most cases, another example would be when a person loses a child. Many parents try to commit suicide if they're, especially their child, if they have an only child or a child. It's difficult to live with life or to bear life afterwards. So we're trying to make people realize is that they need to cope with life and establish a huge plethora of help for that person for years to come. Okay, recent history of depression, and I hope I'm hoping it's more acute than history, because if there's a history of depression, that person that needs to be on help, that needs to be on standby interventions that we're aware of. And so changes in personality or behavior. Chapter 2 talks about happy people. There's people who are very happy in life, who will walk into your class and say good morning, how are you, and they're very, very talkative. And so you know great, as teachers we appreciate those people, and uh, we can pretty much notice. We do lots of active monitoring, and then one day a student is very happy, the next day the student is like quiet. We'll ask them, are you okay? And if they're okay, they'll say, yeah, I'm fine, I just have a headache, or I'm just having a bad day, or whatever. But if students come with continuous bad days, they're quiet, they're not responsive, they don't do the work, they start skipping or start pulling out their hair, then it's time to call in the local administration, which would include your counselors and your administrators and the nurses and everyone who's involved, the parents as well, of course, because it is a concern for us as teachers and as a school. And our ultimate goal is to keep you safe and give you a great education. Okay. um, Expressions of self-hate, it's one thing for people to say, I don't like the way I look, I can't stand my hair, I don't like my lips, I don't like my eyes. um, but it's another thing to say, I hate myself, and I hate myself. But they might say something like, life sucks, then you die. you know some people might say don't worry, be happy. Or some people might say, I don't care, just end it all. So whenever somebody expresses negative models in their life, it's a red flag. Okay. Sexual dysfunctions. The book talks about many people who are incapacitated to have regular sexual performance may not want to live a long life, so they may seek to terminate their life early, and sexual dysfunction would be one of the reasons as well. Sleep patterns. When people are suicidal, they tend to not want to be around people, so they probably want to sleep more and be around less around people. Indirect comments is like, you know what, I just don't feel it today. I don't care about life. Really, it's like pointless to be alive. Those type of comments should raise a red flag, and we need to be aware of those comments and get ready to tell an administrator, or let's get help for that person. Okay. uh, if they're fascinated with death, that's a red flag. Be careful, because it's one thing to talk about death, and of course, death should not be on someone's mind. It should be acknowledged, but however, it should not be something that they should be um, preoccupied with. Death. Okay. Marked change in personal appearance, and again, all this is in the chapter 2 of our Pearson book, and you know um, preventing suicide. What you can do. Let me just go back a little bit real quick. Yeah, marked change of personal appearance. You might see a scar in somebody. You might see scars on their wrists because they try to cut their wrists. And so again, definitely, if you see bruises on them, inform somebody, please. To prevent it, uh, you need to be a friend. Keep in mind that you are very important to keeping people alive. You are someone's friend. You know your best friend. Your best friend comes one day and having a bad day several days in a row. It's time to talk to them. Okay. So what else can we do? Monitor signals. Take their threats serious. If somebody says, "Ay, te van a matarme," take it serious. Make sure that they're playing around, but take it serious. Report it, because you never know when they're playing around. Ask directly, "Do you want to commit suicide?" And if they say yes, I mean, they're not gonna care. They'll tell you. They might even try in front of you. Okay, um, they can be very reckless. Helps comes with alternatives. Um, you could also let the counselor know and their parents know and call their parents. Okay, tell their whoever's important to them, and do not keep your suspicions to yourself. The last thing you want to do is if a person tells you, "I have a secret, I want to kill myself," you need to tell their parents, because so many times where students commit themselves and that person lives with that secret for the rest of their life, it's not a secret that you can live with you yourself. Okay. A plan of action and list steps. Basically, what you want to do is, what would you do if somebody commits suicide? Or what do you do if somebody wants to contemplate suicide? Well, basically, again, hopefully this video, the book, it helps you shed some light, okay? And what we want to do is just prevent it. Understand, guys, is that you are all very important part of our education community, and we as teachers, um, we love it that in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you will be a successful person in life. And it just breaks our heart that you don't reach your potential and you end your life. I personally, as a professional, have been through many suicides, and it is not a great experience. You are at a loss for words, and especially if you know the parents, you don't know what to say. All you can do is just be there for the person, and dealing with grief is another chapter in the book, but it's just something that hopefully it doesn't happen. We want to reduce to eliminate, and actually, you know, hope it never happens ever, in your lifetime or to you. But if it's something that we can prevent, it is our priority. It is something that, as a human, we need to look up and around for people, and give them a helping hand, because as an educator, like I said, I, if I've broken my heart one time, I've broken my heart 1,000 times, and I've been through more than one suicide. Okay, some of you may have a family member who has committed suicide. I have. Okay, and suicide is like, it's like a it's like a snowball effect. It keeps on going and going and going and going and going, but it just goes very bad. Okay, uh, the people around you, they're just devastated by your loss, and especially if your best friend feels that they can no longer help you, and that they could have been a part of the puzzle that could have saved you. And just understand is that, you know when you commit suicide, um, and I know this firsthand, is like, you think about the person, and you think, what if this person made it? They could have had more kids. They could have had more brothers. They could have finished school. They could have been your neighbor. They could have had been a family member who would go to your house every weekend and with their family. Okay, so like I said, it doesn't matter where it's acute, whether it's the moment you find out that they commit suicide, or 5, 10, 15, 20 later, when the person lives with suicide, when they deal with suicide, um, they deal with it every day. And it's something that, you know please think about it. If the thoughts have come to your mind, uh, please, this chapter does suggest a lot of tips for you to become a better, uh, to handle psychologically your problems better, and help you be a better, happier person. And so, just keep that in mind for this chapter. You know, don't use this chapter only as the only avenue for um, for help. Of course, you can involve the local authorities, the state authorities, anyone that's willing to help out, private entities, outside counselors. um, they're out there, find them. Okay, so just keep that in mind, please. Suicide, it's something that I feel that we should talk about in every class, uh, in every semester, in some way cover it. The more you hear about it, the more you understand. You know what? I think that um, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And not only can we save your life, but the life of somebody else. Okay, so that's the importance of this chapter. And if anybody has any questions, please either talk to myself or somebody around you, and we'll be definitely do our part to keep you successful and engaged, and live a long life of prosperity. Okay, thank you guys very much, and I hope you like this video.